So I've been in Hyderabad for a while now, and I decided that while I was here, I was gonna show the kids that I'm staying with Star Wars. Now, these kids were the perfect group to show Star Wars. They're all under the age of 10. None of them had seen it before. None of them had even heard of Star Wars before, but they all like Western films like Frozen, Shrek, all that kind of stuff. So they would generally understand like what a Western blockbuster looks like. And it did not go well. An hour in, I just kind of turned it off because I was watching it by myself and I've already seen it 80 times and didn't really need to watch it again while also supposed to be watching a lot of children. These are little kids. It's Star Wars. It's like the children's film. This is supposed to be the target group. The 7-year-old boy is obsessed with Captain America. Like, come on guys, this is for you. And you know, while part of my soul kind of did split into two because of this, I'm also trying to figure out why this happened. I mean, for one thing, they're not American, and Star Wars is kind of the quintessential American blockbuster. They speak English as a second, if not third language. So when dialogue like this comes up,
I have just received word that the Emperor has dissolved the Council permanently. The last remnants of the old Republic have been swept away.
they kind of have a hard time connecting to the plot. I mean, I'm sitting here staring at a camera yelling about Star Wars, and it would take me a solid 5 to 10 minutes to explain what's happening there. And then, you know, I thought, well, I mean, they're little, they're kids. Maybe it's hard for them to sit through a movie. But then I was reminded of all of the countless stories I've heard of people who were kids in the 1970s and how they would watch Star Wars on repeat, one right after the other. And I also remember that these kids, every single day since I've shown up, has watched a Shrek movie. Every single day, 1 through 4. You'd almost wonder how many times could they possibly watch Shrek in a row? I mean, they sit there the whole movie, every single time. How many times can you listen to Accidentally in Love before you just kind of go crazy? So that couldn't be it. And I think that the answer might be that generally, for kids nowadays, Star Wars is boring. And that's not me saying that, that's George Lucas.
This film was, when it was first released, people felt it moved very, very, very fast. It was extremely fast-paced. And part of that is because of the fact that you're introduced to a world you've never seen before. And everybody was sort of fascinated with the environment. And one of the premises I had when I made the film was that I would not show the environment. I would just assume that this was a natural world for everybody, and everybody was familiar with everything in it. As a result, when it first came out, people were just, they couldn't take it all in fast enough. Now when you look at the movie, it's not very fast at all. Everybody's familiar with these environments, so that they don't spend a lot of time trying to see what is going on in the backgrounds. They just basically watch the story, and the story moves along at a rather leisurely pace by today's standard.
I mean, movies nowadays, the cinematic language that kids like this are accustomed to, it's just radically different from things that were happening in the 70s. The things that started in the original film have since progressed for 40 years, and now it's so far removed that kids can't even appreciate the original one anymore. So when you're used to seeing this, and get this, it's like, who cares about this old movie? How do I know that this is true? How can I factually say that this is a thing that happens? I have something terrible to admit on screen right now. I'm not proud of it. The reason I know is because I have a very distinct memory of being 4 and my dad trying to show me Star Wars, and I got bored because there was too much sand.
I don't like sand.
Oh my god, I'm so not qualified for this project. In fact, the only reason I really got into Star Wars was because I saw episode 3 in theaters, and the lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin was like a personal, deep in my chest, life-changing moment for me. I mean, even I have to admit, when I was sitting there just watching the movie with these kids, no commentaries, no fan theories going on, nothing, just watching the movie with these little kids, kind of boring. I'm sorry. Because for me, the whole reason I love Star Wars, the whole reason it's my absolute favorite movie, doesn't have that much to do with what's physically on screen. I love Star Wars because anytime I see R2-D2 up on screen, I picture Kenny Baker stuck inside that little aluminum can, and I remember the story of how he got stuck inside there once when everybody cut for lunch and they just left him. I love Star Wars because I know that they made all of the Star Destroyer planes off of little World War II model planes. And so I just picture all of the special effects guys just slowly gluing each little piece together. I love Star Wars because I've watched grown men with children and 401ks have intense discussions over what Han shot first does to the Star Wars canon. I love Star Wars because of Princess Leia, my favorite female character in cinema. Yeah, who is strong and has a great backstory and has great motivation, and yet is stuck in a movie where the director has no idea how incredible she is and doesn't even know what to do with her in the film. I love Star Wars because of all of these things, because of all the weird websites I've been on, because of all the fan discussions I've had, because of the hours and hours of time I put this into my life. It's funny, the audience this was created for, the group that made it the cultural cornerstone it is today, the people that everybody assumes is supposed to love this thing instead of, you know, me, they just can't really seem to connect with it anymore. But you know what? They don't really need this one. They have all of major cinema nowadays. They have the prequels and new movies and Marvel and Shrek. They can keep Shrek. This one, this weird little 1970s film, this is for the geeks and the nerds and the weirdos who like to read encyclopedias. This is for the cinema enthusiasts who want to understand how the blockbuster changed, okay? This one gets to be ours.